What if a man hijacked an airplane, collected $200,000, jumped into a storm from 30,000 feet, and disappeared forever? On November 24, 1971, a man walked into an airport in Portland, Oregon. He bought a one-way ticket under the name Dan Cooper. Nothing about him seemed unusual. He wore a dark business suit, a white shirt, a black tie, and carried a briefcase. Passengers later described him as calm, polite, almost forgettable. But within a few hours, he would become one of the most famous mysteries in American history. After boarding Northwest Orient Flight 305, Cooper took a seat near the back of the aircraft. Shortly after takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant. At first, she assumed it was a phone number. She placed it in her purse without reading it. Then Cooper leaned closer and quietly said something chilling. "Miss, you'd better look at that note." The note claimed he had a bomb. When the flight attendant sat beside him, Cooper opened his briefcase. Inside were wires, red cylinders, and what appeared to be an explosive device. Then he calmly explained his demands. $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting when the plane landed. What happened next shocked investigators. There was no panic, no screaming, no violence. Cooper remained calm. The crew remained calm. And while the passengers had no idea what was happening, the FBI scrambled to respond. When the plane landed in Seattle, Cooper got everything he asked for: the money, the parachutes, and a refueled aircraft. Then he released the passengers. But he wasn't finished. With only the flight crew remaining on board, Cooper ordered the plane back into the air. He instructed the pilots to fly toward Mexico, at a low altitude, with reduced speed, and with the landing gear partially deployed. The conditions made little sense to the crew, but Cooper seemed to know exactly what he was doing. Outside, darkness covered the Pacific Northwest. Rain pounded the aircraft. Powerful winds shook the plane. Yet Cooper appeared completely composed. Some investigators would later believe this was evidence of military or parachuting experience, because what he planned next sounded impossible. At approximately 8 o'clock that evening, something happened. A warning light inside the cockpit suddenly activated. The crew noticed movement near the rear stairway. Then the aircraft shifted slightly, as if weight had suddenly disappeared. D.B. Cooper had opened the rear staircase, in the middle of a storm, at night, thousands of feet above the ground, carrying a bag filled with cash. And then, he jumped. No one saw him land. No one heard from him again. He simply vanished into the darkness. The FBI launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Agents searched forests, rivers, mountains, and remote wilderness. Military aircraft joined the search. Helicopters scanned the landscape. Thousands of people became suspects. But no trace of Cooper appeared. Years passed, then decades. Still nothing. It was as if he had disappeared from the face of the earth. Then, in 1980, a young boy made an astonishing discovery. While digging near the Columbia River, he found bundles of cash. The serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom money. For investigators, it was the first real piece of evidence. But instead of solving the mystery, it created new questions. How had the money ended up there? What happened to the rest? And what happened to Cooper? Some believed he died during the jump. Others believed he survived and escaped. The debate continues to this day. More than 50 years later, nobody knows who D.B. Cooper really was. No confirmed photograph, no confession, no body, no final answer. The FBI officially closed the investigation in 2016, but the mystery remains alive. Because somewhere between an airplane, a storm, and a dark forest, a man vanished. And if he survived, he may have committed the perfect crime. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel and join us for more real mysteries that continue to fascinate the world.